Back to my stair workout here. I've already done my warm up, so watch that very first one I made the other day, live shot. If you want to see the warm up, I may do it again later or a variation of it just to throw in some different ideas. But we're getting right into it. So I got a mat. I got a couple, again, these little 10-pounders. Feel free to use them if you got them. If you don't, no worries, nothing. Will also work if you have no weights. First one, get into right plank. Sorry, come on through. You can come on through. So I got a side plank with a hip abduction. We're just gonna rep this out. So I do a bit of a dip at the hip, so I'm kind of dipping as well, but also get that kind of hip abduction or climb bridge or climb shell with the straight leg. In addition, to make sure that my shoulder, shoulder is right below, my elbow is right below my shoulder. Try to look straight ahead to keep your neck neutral. So again, I do the dip up and then kick the leg out. Obviously, there are variations of this exercise to make it easier and or harder. Go from the knees. If you want, you can just do a static hold, obviously. A static hold, like in a starfish, I call it, is actually quite challenging in itself. So if you really want to push it a little bit, that's a good one to try. Next, I'm going to do a single leg bridge. So I'm going to have my weight stacked on my thigh, one leg straight, one leg bent, head down against the mat, and then just push the hips off the ground. I like to go for my heel. So when I have my planted leg, my heel is touching what my toes are not. And just really try to extend through your hip as high as you can. Should get a pretty good burn out of that. All right. It's like, come on through. Sorry if you just, here to go. There you go. Pushing through. As you can see in this airway, I always get a lot of people coming through, so I should have them out of the camera at least this time. All right, good. Again, I don't really even count my reps. I just go to fatigue. I definitely feel that in the glutes though, big time. So rep it out till you get that nice burn going. Next one, I'm just gonna flip around the other way. I feel weird showing my butt in the camera here, but so this one I call it like a pike press up. So I'm gonna get kind of in a pike position, which is kind of like a, let's call it like an L position for lack of better description. Approximately 90 degrees in the hips. Although you can make that smaller angle, that does actually make it harder the smaller angle you got. I'm gonna do like a tricep press for this one. So I make my hands into a triangle position. You can see that. Keep my elbows relatively tight to my body. Get in that pike position. And then do more of like a shoulder press, let's call it. And again, I have about 90 degrees in the hips, give or take. Flexing or bending at the hips. And then pressing up. Trying to keep everything in my spine relatively straight. And then kind of let your forehead come down to the ground. Press back up. So I'm only going to go through one set for this video of each exercise. Typically, I'll go through it 3 times myself when I'm doing it, but feel free to just repeat the video and walk it through again. Or if you need a break between exercises, pause, catch your breath, grab some water, and go from there. Okay, next one I'm going to do like a push-up plus, I call it, but it's not even a push-up movement, but you're going to do it from push-up position. I personally like to do this from my fists rather than do it from kind of that push-up position from the wrists. I just find I want to give my wrist a bit of a break, but it actually strengthens your wrist here and keeps your wrist nice neutral, so it can be a little bit more comfortable for people that do get a bit of wrist strain and or spend a lot of time on computers and stuff like that. Sometimes it's nice just to vary things up a little bit. Shoulder width apart with the hands, push-up position. I kind of like to think string pulling me up from the top of my head and down through the heels, try to get that nice neutral spine straight through the back. From here, I let my shoulders dip down and then press up. So it gets sloppy push-up, some people call these. Let the chest fall through. Push up. So my elbows don't move, they stay locked. Let my chest fall down. Push straight up. So this movement coming from my shoulder blades and not my elbows. And again, thinking that string pulling up through the top of my head, down through my heels, trying to keep my back neutral. And again, done right, you should kind of feel in your shoulders, I guess. It's actually working the serratus anterior actually quite a lot, which is that muscle that connects your shoulder blade to your rib cage, kind of in the kind of front or side. I'll show you in a second here. Get right along here. So when you get nice and defined in that spot, it looks really cool. But again, I'm not really doing it for that, but I'm just doing it more for the scapular strengthening. So you're kind of working those shoulder blade muscles or the muscles that control the shoulder blades. Okay, next one. Sure, we'll throw this in here next. I like to have some weight on my hands. Again, you don't have to have weight in your hands. I'm just going to do it weighted, head flat. My hands are not touching the ground, but they're going to be behind me, and I'm holding them up in the air. And as I do so, I'm going to basically just do a bit of a crunch with my legs. And so you can start with your knees bent. And just do one leg at a time, dropping out. And then as I'm doing this, I'm trying to squeeze my rib cage down flat to the floor. And my hands are not touching each other, they're spread apart. So I'm not kind of leaning on my hand, one hand for the other. And then kind of let my legs drop down one at a time. Obviously, two at a time would be more pressure, but it is a little more pressure on my lower back as well. So this is actually pretty challenging with weight. If you haven't done this exercise before, I would suggest you do it with no weight, or even just have your hands down on the side on the floor by your hips, just to kind of get the legs working a little bit. Whew. Haven't done that one for a while. Next one, again, for a core exercise. Grip lying here, so the back lying on your back with your knees slightly bent. I'm going to reach up and try to touch the opposite hand while clearing my shoulder blades off the mat. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just rolling side to side, but actually lifting up off the mat and trying to touch the fingertips on the opposite hand when I come up. Big exhale as you come up. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And again, I do move relatively quickly through these exercises, so do feel free to pause in between the exercises if you just need a quick drink of water, catch your breath, set up for the next exercise. A couple more. And big things to not just roll side to side, because it's very easy to just roll side to side, because that's actually quite difficult exercise to do properly. Okay, I'll do one more. Come on through, you're good. Actually, I'll do two more, why not? I know there's probably a proper term for this exercise, I don't know what it's called, but I like to have my hands in the back of my head, and I'm going to arch upwards so my feet and my thighs come off, as well as my chest as best I can. I kind of like to think of this like a dolphin or something like that, but I don't know if that's the correct term. I'm sure someone out there wants to comment. Let me know what this exercise actually is called. I just call it back extension, or back and hip extension. Again, harder than it looks. To break it up, you can keep your feet down and just do the upper, or keep the hands down with the head down and just do the legs. And if that's even too hard, one leg at a time. I mean, there's so many variations of these exercises. I'm just basically throwing you a bunch of exercises that I do myself, especially in these limited space stairs where you can only do so much with a mat. But again, you can get a pretty good burn, great workout with very little equipment if you're willing to put in the effort and the energy. And like I said, time is one of those commodities that you'll never get back. And if you use wisely, you can get a lot done in a short period of time. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll have another one probably in the gym next time when I do it. Have a great day, and we'll see you then.